like, I feel like you're so pessimistic.
Wait, what? She called me a pest.
She called you a rat?
No,
I say that
it's
because
like the opposite of optimistic. Like
All right.
you think the best. Like you don't give the benefit of the doubt, basically.
no.
Chasing dreams, my money, things I do for my family, and all day long I can't go without my blessings. Cause blessings show. Been chasing dreams, my money, things I do.
All right. We back for part two.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Part one, we was talking about is there a difference between trauma bonding and equally yoked? We about to get into the next one. Next topic. Is trauma bonding a mistake, or is it only a mistake when you have to bring it up? So just to encompass this a little bit, right? Is it a mistake, like off rip, meaning like, yo, it can't ever blossom into something good? Or is it a mistake when you have to tell another person, hey, I feel like our whole relationship is built on a trauma bond?
So, I feel like the toxicness, a trauma bond, regardless, I feel like would definitely be toxic, one, unless all those toxic traits are like people realize they're being toxic and they try to fix it or whatever. But I feel like us as people, we always look for similarities in other people. So like, say if I'm looking for friends or looking for a mate, I'm going to look for what I have in me in someone else, you know? So I wouldn't say, I'm not trying to say trauma bonds like are natural, but I feel like they just naturally happen. So like, not naturally happen all the time, but like things just fall into place and it becomes that, you know?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's a mistake technically, but like shit just happens. But
I think it happens off like reflex sometimes. Like sometimes people just unconditionally click because like they're going through something and their mind's not clear. So they're just looking for like an escape and a coping mechanism. So they're probably like, yo, I'm going through something right now. And he's like, yeah, I'm going through something too. I'm like, yeah, let's be best friends. I'm like, let's talk about it. Like,
yeah, but like that's the natural, like it happens naturally.
Yeah.
Like that's the natural part about it. So I wouldn't call it a mistake per se, but yeah.
I feel like, you know, when it comes to that, I feel like it's different. It's different for friendships compared to relationships.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because, like, you guys might be in the same place when y'all are trauma bonding, because we talk about that trauma bond equally yoked. So, you know, if y'all are on that same page when y'all trauma bonding, right? When you get to a point, let's say if you've healed, or like people like to say, when you've gotten through that season, sometimes you're like, dang, you know, those clear things that weren't really so clear before start to show themselves. And I feel like the moment where it does show itself, and you realize it, the moment you feel like you have to bring it up, it was a mistake from jump. You know what I mean? It might have been for that reason and that season, but at the end of the day, it's like if you were able to use that person to heal, it might sound selfish, but it doesn't mean that person needs to stay.
yeah, I think people, like, even in the word, it says, like, you know, there's a season for everything, literally. So it's like some people are put in your life for like a specific amount of time for a certain amount of reason, like for a reason.
Unless they're
Like-
Haitian.
So same aspect with like certain women, like, right, like women and men, like they doing this whole dating thing, right? So in the dating aspect, you might be dating a guy for like 1 year, 2 years, couple months. That guy is gonna be there for a reason. He's gonna teach you something that you're gonna need to learn in order to be a better woman or a better man, vice versa. So I take that in the aspect of like, yo, every person that you meet is for a reason. If you didn't take nothing from it, that's your fault, because you're gonna miss out on a blessing right there. If somebody comes into my life, right? Somebody died in my family, God forbid. They come into my life and we start bonding over something and we fall out and I didn't get nothing from that. That means I failed. I failed that whole friendship, that whole bonding thing that we had. I failed. You're supposed to get something from everything that you go through.
I mean, I wouldn't say that makes a trauma bond a mistake off rip though, because you take something from everyone you meet.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a
whether
mistake.
if they're in your life to this day or not. So I also believe everything happens for a reason. You meet certain people for certain things and for certain lessons. So them teaching you that, you acquiring this new skill, you bettering yourself, you growing yourself and all that, I don't think is a mistake off rip. It may have been a mistake. Like, once you realize it was a mistake, that's you learning from it, but it's not really a mistake. Like, it was meant to happen that way.
Listen, nothing is a mistake in life. Like, even if you make mistakes, it's for a reason. There's a reason why you made the mistake.
Everything is
Exactly.
choices, not mistakes.
Yeah, like you learn from choices. Like, there's no such thing as a mistake in life. Like, it might just be a wrong choice.
So there's
but
there's
it's not.
But you learn from it.
Yeah. Everything is meant to teach you something. So I don't feel like it's a mistake. Like, if with anything, it's not a mistake.
Do you guys feel like, you know, at a point, just because you're vulnerable, like you have to take what you can get? Or do you feel like, because some people might misconstrue that, you know, there's a season for everything. Like, okay, you know, I'm upset or I'm going through it and this person comes in, you know what, why not? And, or, you know, they cling on to them and they're like, you know what, this person's there for me. But just because you're vulnerable or just because you're in a state to where, you know what I mean? Yes, you can learn from everything. Doesn't mean you have to take everything. Sometimes you could wait. You know, like there could be a person, you know, you don't stop everybody you walk past. So it's like, okay, that person's coming towards you. All right, but you have a choice, because if you just walk past them and don't say nothing, maybe there might be somebody better up along the way.
I think you have to just be very careful, because like if you just choose whatever comes your way, it's like that person could either make you worse or make you better.
Yeah.
But 9 out of 10 times you're vulnerable. You're not gonna know. So it's like you gotta like really come to your realization. And first, regardless of what you believe in, go to God first. That's number one. Ask him to give you discernment to like, yo, is this really the person that I should be going to in the first place? Because like some people, they're not there for the right reasons.
But then again, you also got to look at what you're attracted to in that person. Like, are you really going after that person because they're nice, or are you going to that person because you feel like, okay, like they look good, or you feel me? Like, Joe, if that person's walking past you, are you looking at them like, oh, they fine, or you know what I'm saying? Or are you looking at them like, or are you gonna wait until they approach you?
I think that's a men thing. Like. Correct me if I'm wrong. Women are not really visual people. They go off like emotional stuff, right? I think men like
sometimes.
Yeah, but men are mostly visual creatures, like, right? So I think it's like men will go after the woman that looks good but do nothing for them, and the women will go for the guy that does something for them and they butt ugly. Like you'll see that a lot. You see another man comforting a girl but he butt ugly.
Nah, bro. There's no such thing as butt ugly, bro. It's only two, bro. It's either you medium ugly or you what the fuck, bro.
Stop. But look, I feel like when you're vulnerable, you draw in like any type of energy, whether it's positive, whether it's bad. And because of that vulnerability, you can't decipher which one is a negative energy or a positive energy. So that's why there was this experiment done. This is a psychologist. He went out with two friends. One of them was very healed. She was in a great place in her life. She's very secure in who she is. And he went out with a different girl. And no, they all went out together. But like the other girl, she was very like, she was going through it. Like it was really bad. Like she had a whole bunch of stuff going on. And he noticed that the girl that was going through it was getting like a whole bunch of guys were just like approaching her, like one after the next. But the other girl that was very much healed and very much like very known head on straight, like nobody approached her like at all. Mind you, they're both very attractive looking women. But everyone went up to her.
Women attractive, but men attractive. You know, there's a big difference.
No, like they're both very attractive to men.
Listen, that's the thing.
That's not the point.
Like, yeah, that's not the point.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
That's not what we get at.
But what I'm trying to say is that when you're not in the right headspace, she was vulnerable. So she's drawing in all these different types of energies, whether she like it or not. She can't decipher which one is positive or which one is bad. So I feel like people can't really, when you're in that vulnerable state, you can't really sit. And most of the times people don't turn to God when they're vulnerable, is when they realize they're going through it. And that's when they go to God.
Like a last resort.
Yeah.
That's true.
Even though they shouldn't, but that's what happens. Yeah. So people being in that vulnerability, they can't really sit here and like think what's best for them. At the end of the day, they just latch on to whatever they can get. And whatever they can get is like basically the highest level for them.
But I think we shouldn't I think there's too much grace given to those type of people. Like it's gonna be a certain...
I don't think it's grace. Like I feel like you're so pessimistic.
Wait, what? She called me a pest.
She called you a rat?
No,
I say that because
it's like the opposite of optimistic. Like
right.
You think the best. Like you don't give the benefit of the doubt. Basically,
no. I say that because I hold people accountable, and I even hold myself accountable. I know if I'm going through something, and I go to somebody, and they lead me the wrong way, I'm like, all right, boom, that's all right. I give you grace. But if I do it again. Then I fall again, I'm not giving you grace.
No, that's a fact.
I mean, that's you. But
pattern.
Something I learned, once you travel a lot and you meet a whole bunch of different people, common sense is not common. And the way people...
who?
To everyone. Common sense is not common. Oh my God.
Listen. Because think about this. Sometimes
common sense always been common to me.
No. Sometimes the smartest people got to be told, like, yo, right from wrong sometimes.
Yes.
But that's because they little extra... Those extra smart people, they don't... My girl... No, my girl is very smart, but
there's no buts.
No, it's a but.
No, there's no buts.
But there's
but there's no buts.
Oh yeah, there's no buts.
There's no buts.
Yeah, there's no buts.
There is no
buts.
She's just smart. She just.
I feel like
we
you
here for
see
you.
it as
Yeah.
you see things to us that are like common knowledge. A lot of people just don't know that. Everyone have different experiences. Everyone been through different things. Everyone's been brought similarly. We've been brought up similarly, but very different. We all think differently. So it's like you and Jeremy put in the same situation, y'all wouldn't react the same.
But how many times you gotta touch the stove to know it's hot?
Bro, you be taking my line.
People.
You take my line. I'm just saying that so
Black
much.
people, you know, you would be surprised.
But he look good.
You would be so surprised. People, I know, this shit gets me so tight. I know people who would, let's say, touch the stove, because I'm not going to put the person information out there, but I know people who would touch the stove repeatedly. They know it's hot, one. They know they're going to burn, two, and they continue to touch it. Right after they get burned after it too.
That's their
and it's
fault.
like, for you, it's frustrating to us because we see it, but like for them in the moment, they don't see it. Like they know they're giving that situation the benefit of the doubt. So they're like, maybe if I touch it this time, it won't burn me. It burned me.
Who fault is that though?
No, bro.
It's not. I wouldn't say
you.
it's their fault.
The reason why I don't agree with you, because remember, there was a Bible study that we had, right? And remember when I said this, I was like, yo, drugs and sex will have somebody stay in a situation longer than they should be.
Yes.
And a lot of times, bro, that really just is the thing. You are so tied to that person. Sometimes, like, you know what I'm saying? You get frustrated and you're so used to, like, this is like the craziest thing to me when people say things like makeup sex or angry sex, right? First off, no sex before marriage.
Facts.
But it's like people are so tied up in that to where it's like, they would really feel like it's okay to argue, but then if we have sex, everything's okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't solve anything. And then when you get married, that same pattern travels on. And then when there's a moment where there's just no sex and now you really tight and you ain't got you're not releasing yourself in no way. And then these things might end up you know what I'm saying? Like, yo,
it travels down to your kids.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. You have to know that.
But that type of trauma is never alleviated. It is only postponed. It is only postponed
and
until the next time it comes
up.
Yes.
It just gets worse and worse.
But one thing you gotta know, right? It's even worse if you know. If you didn't know and you make the mistake countless times, by all means you're justified. But if you know and you still make the same mistakes, who's really to put the blame on?
Yeah, but it's that addiction, though, bro.
I understand
These
that, bro.
Things are an addiction.
But you have to know, right? There's gonna be
like,
some turning point to where you be like, nah, I can't do this no more. If you don't have that thing in your mind that's telling you like, yo, this is not right.
That don't go off for a lot of people.
And that's what I mean.
Like,
If you don't have that, that just makes you human.
So are you
But go
just
ahead.
are you
No,
saying
go
that
ahead.
people are not moral people then?
Hold on.
I
Go
wouldn't
ahead.
say that's not them being moral. It's just them being deluded in their own reality. Like they're not seeing the reality that you're seeing. Like we could say if you see a crackhead on the street, right?
Okay.
We know crack is whack, but obviously they still doing it. But they
But there's gonna be a point of time where the crackhead is like
But, like,
sober
no-
and they know that it's like, yo, I
There's
should
no
be
But
over
at the
there.
end of the
a crack
day-
is sober ever.
But at the end of the day, what do they
crackhead?
do? They relapse. That's why a lot of
Exactly.
relapses happen because it's like I've been without this for a while. I've been doing good. And it's just like the only thing I knew was crack. So I'm going to go back to that. You feel me? So it's like,
I think I'm looking at it from a biblical point of view. Like I'm looking at it as like a believer. If you know something is not right, then you should be looking past that and like try to turn away from it. Cause I can't expect people in the world to be like, okay, I'm gonna turn away from my sins and look towards God. People in the world, they ain't worry about that. So I kind of am looking at it in a biblical aspect in a way. So
But yo, bro, but you can relate though. Like, be honest, bro. There was definitely a time to where, you know what I'm saying, like a pattern just kept on like happening, and you were conscious about it.
okay.
Like, I feel like it doesn't mean that you're any less of like a
Nah,
person.
definitely, but
Yeah.
it just makes you more accountable. Like it's only you that's doing it. Like you never heard like, yo,
You can't put
as-
a time on that type of accountability.
I'm not
bro.
putting time. I'm just saying like, if you keep falling down the same cliff, that's your fault.
It is.
It's like I'm just trying to make it accountability. Some people like to blame other people.
I feel like it's your fault, but also you can't blame yourself, you know?
Who's there to blame though? You're
Nah,
responsible
I'm
for
not
your
gonna
own
lie.
self.
Yeah.
I don't
you
think-
could blame yourself.
You could blame yourself, but like, why does there have to be blame? At the end of the day, why does there have to
Because
be blame?
when you take accountability and
Blame-
responsibility, it turns you to become a better person. Without responsibility, accountability, or anything like that, you're not gonna be held accountable for anything. You're just gonna think everything is okay. If nobody's telling you what you're doing is wrong, you're gonna keep doing it thinking it's right.
Okay, I see your point.
Until
now.
you
I see
tell
your point.
yourself that what you're doing, if you in yourself believe that what you're doing is not, like, say you keep falling off the cliff. If I myself don't believe what I'm doing is wrong,
Yeah, she
then
gonna keep
at the end
going.
of the day, it's just gonna keep happening.
But that's why I said you're justified if you don't know. But if you do know and you still continue to do it, it's like nobody, like you're doing it to yourself. Like there's
like
some people.
we see it as them doing it to themselves, but they don't see it that way.
Of course. If however way they see it, if they see it as like, yo, I'm not doing nothing wrong, by all means, I can't judge you about that. But if you know what you're doing is wrong and you still do it, I'm just be like, yo, like it's your fault.
But I'm sorry though, bro. Blame, accountability, responsibility, they're all synonymous of each other. And people hate to accept that. So instead of accepting it, they're gonna hear it. And the moment they're
They get
triggered,
defensive.
they're gonna be like, why are you judging me? Ooh, I hate
That's the
that.
thing, like people sometimes we need judgment, sometimes like righteous judgment. Like sometimes we need to hold each other accountable, and people don't like getting told that they're wrong, and it comes off as judging, right? Like let's say like I said, yo, you can't wear shoes in the house. Like, oh, you're judging me, but it's like nah, like it's just it's like a respectful kind of thing. Like they say, oh, you're judging me. You trying to say I'm this? You trying to say I'm dirty? Like people just take it to the defensive, like way of thinking because they don't like being told that they're wrong. Like people don't like getting told like, yo, you need to change that about yourself. It's like everybody has this type of rebellious to them that just makes them like not want to be around people. Like people don't want to be around people like that.
I don't think it's like rebellious. I just believe misery loves company.
Definitely.
They would rather people who will tolerate it and people who will accept it or people who will join in on it rather than people who are going to try and hold them accountable. Because remember, like, bro, like what makes trauma prolong is when it's converged or submerged in more trauma. Like, you know, as the trauma keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to keep on lasting longer and longer and longer. So that's why, like, you know, and with that type of trauma, if it has to do with another person, like, think about that. Like, if both of them are doing drugs, if they're smoking weed or, you know what I'm saying, they taking perks or, you know what I'm saying, fentanyl to cope with the pain, and both of them are doing it, that's where, like, that whole equally, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're both trauma bonding in that sense because that person's not going to tell them that they're wrong. And they subconsciously, they find solace in that. They find comfort in that, knowing that they can drown themselves with these coping mechanisms, and this person that they're with is doing it too, so they don't feel alone.
And I feel like honestly, having that judgment on them is not gonna make them stop that trauma. Like at the end of the day, I feel like they have to, it's like, when someone's doing something wrong, but all right, I'm gonna put an example. I feel like I like to use examples so people can understand me. If your parents is telling you to stop doing something, they're obviously judging you on that. They don't want you to do it, they're judging you. But at the end of the day, like, you're gonna be like, it's my life, I could do whatever I want, I'ma still do it. That judgment isn't doing anything to for you to stop doing what's hurting you. You have to come out of yourself. You have to come out of your delusions and realize what you're doing is hurting you. And usually that don't happen until it's too late. That happens when you hit a breaking point or something, and then you realize what you doing is hurting you. And I guess people just change after that. But that judgment itself, I feel like that just fuels you to continue to do what you want to do.
That's a fact.
Been chasing dreams, my money, things I do for my family, and all day long I can't go without my